Welcome to the Red Couch. And on the Red Couch today, I have a young Barbadian who we'll tell you a lot more about him in a little while. But first, let's get his name and make sure we get it right. Niko Terho. Now that's a very unusual name for a Barbadian.
Yes.
Normally we'd think of Brathwaite or Griffith or, you know, Brown or something like that. So obviously the origin of your surname, Niko, is not Barbadian.
Yes, that's correct. That's my dad. That comes from my dad. He's from Finland, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's one of the Flying Finns.
He is one of the Flying Finns.
Flew down to Barbados. And your mum then is
She's
Barbadian?
a Bajan, yeah.
Is Bajan, all right. Yeah. So you were born here in Barbados?
Yes, correct.
What was that early childhood like growing up in Barbados? So did you spend I mean, your accent sounds pretty close to Barbadian, so.
Well, yeah, because, so like we spent most time here, obviously, because I went to school here and did all that stuff.
Where?
Went to St. Gabriel's, and then after St. Gabriel's, I went to SMS, St. Michael's. So.
Oh, you're one of those. SMS, yeah. SMS, I think of other things, but anyhow, we won't.
Oh, yeah.
But I know that there's some schools in Barbados that are they're very proud. All of the extra performance students are extremely proud, and they wear it as a badge of honor. So
yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah,
I tell everybody I can.
Yeah, okay.
Even if they don't understand.
Even if they don't understand. All right. And then from school, what was your next step?
Well, so I left the island when I was 15, so I didn't finish St. Michael's because I went to play football in England. I got scouted to play, so I left. My parents and my family stayed here, but then I went and I had to live my first year with a foster family in England to be able to play.
So let me just set this up, because Niko is actually in a television series, one that I'm sure everybody in Barbados knows. I've been subjected to it many times. I'm not a big fan of TV. I'm a news type person, so I spend a lot more time on news and public affairs type programs and so on. If I want to veg, I'm going to go to a movie or something like that. But there have been a few series that I really got addicted to. Scandal was one of them.
Also by the same.
Right. Yeah. 24 was my all-time favorite television series too, as well, and a few others like that. You know. We're going to talk about your career in the television industry, but I had heard that you were also potentially a professional footballer, that you had been scouted and so on. So you left Barbados at a very early age, 15, to pursue a potential career. So you were thinking of, you loved football.
Yeah, I mean, that was always the plan. I always loved acting as well, but football was given most opportunities. So that's what got me out of Barbados initially and to the UK to play.
Where did you go in the UK?
I went, the first area I was a little town called Torquay. Nobody's ever heard of it.
I've heard of it, but I spent some time in Britain at BBC, so I'm a little familiar with parts of it. I have never been there, but
it's about as close you can get to Barbados in England, which is nowhere near close enough. It was cold and rainy still, but it's a little town on the coast of the south of England, and so I was there for my first year, and then the next 2 years I spent more like East Sussex area near Brighton, and
a more developed area then.
A little bit more developed, yeah.
And what was that experience like, trying to seize this opportunity to become a professional footballer?
It was a lot of fun. I loved playing, so I loved when we were playing games on the weekends and during the week sometimes. But I wasn't a huge fan of the lifestyle that came around it. So I was noticing I didn't like England. Sorry Brits watching. I love it sometimes for vacation, but to live, I couldn't do it. My coach even had to get me a sun lamp when I first moved there, just so I wouldn't get depressed. But I didn't like the lifestyle that came around playing professional football. So I was like,
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So
outside of the weather and which can be miserable, can drizzle for days on end. Make up your mind. Do you want to fall or not?
Exactly. And then sometimes it's just mist, and you're like, okay, this doesn't even rain.
Yeah.
But so it was mostly the training every day was tough and brutal, and I never really liked training. I always saw it as something you had to do. So then I was like, okay, if this is going to be my life, like 24/7 when I'm not playing games. So that was part of it, and then also it's at that time when you're really trying to make it into it, it's very competitive. So like your teammates aren't really your teammates. They're
not really your friends.
Nah, they're not. They're trying to get in just as much as you're trying to get in, and they're doing whatever they can to get in. Because for some people, most people, it's their only thing they know how to do. They don't know anything else. So it's this or nothing. So it can be quite cutthroat. So I just didn't like the atmosphere that created. And I also always loved acting, and I wasn't getting to do that. And I would be watching movies and TV shows and be like, man, I wish I was doing that. So then eventually when I really had to make a decision at 18, I was like, okay, so either I have to commit fully to football, or this is the time that I'm going to get out and try something. I mean, I could do football for a few years and then maybe go back, but then I was like, I'm just wasting time if I really want to do acting. So I decided to not sign any contracts or anything.
But were you being offered opportunities?
Yeah, so I was like scouted. I was being scouted by Bournemouth, who are now a Premier League team, but they were a championship when I was there, and Torquay obviously, and then other teams I was just trialing with and stuff.
Do you think that your reason or part of the motivation was that you had options and maybe you didn't have that same fire that maybe somebody who felt this is my only avenue?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think if I could have maybe reworked my brain into thinking that this is the best thing ever, if that was the only thing I wanted to do. I think so, yeah. But
you had other opportunities.
I always had that acting bug in me, so I was like, that was always pulling me away.
So do you still play football?
For fun, yes.
For fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot more enjoyable now, I suspect.
Way more enjoyable now. I love it. I can't get enough of it now. And I watch it every day. Yeah. But
favorite teams?
Man United is my favorite team.
United,
unfortunately, right now we're not going through a great spell.
No. Haven't been for a bit now.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll do it.
You'll get
we'll
back
get there.
Yeah. So, where was this awakening of acting? Where did that start for you?
Well, in ways it like always was there, because my mom was an actress and she used to do.
Where? Here?
Well, here, a lot here, and before they had me, they lived in New York for a bit. So my mom used to act there off Broadway and stuff. And and then when she came back here, she was acting a whole bunch. She actually had like a little acting, like children's workshop that she did out of our front yard. So we would do that every weekend and everything. And so I just got to see her do it. And then I was obsessed with movies and TV. So I was watching it all the time and being like, all right, I want to do that. I was like acting out scenes on my own. It was,
That's, well, in a sense, you were unwittingly or wittingly being channeled in a particular direction. Your exposure, in much the same way, I suppose, as my daughter Rebecca is with broadcasting. I never thought she was interested, or any of my children were interested. And none of her studies were in broadcasting, were in media.
Right.
But yet she ended up here, even though her bachelor's, her master's, even her associate degree were all tourism related. But I guess being around broadcasting constantly, seeing it, being exposed to it. So in many respects, that's probably the parallel in your case.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Although my mom always likes to remind me that she's a real actor because she does theater. And I'm like, Mom, it's different. You can't say that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I would say, well, I don't want to say it's more challenging because I haven't done it. But I admire people who, either in the West End or on Broadway, night after night, you know, irrespective of how you may wake up feeling, you know, you have to be out there, you have to be performing. And there's no two takes, you know, it's a one take.
Right.
It's do it, you know?
Yeah, true. And that is extremely tough. But I will say that getting the 2 takes and 3 takes is not super easy either. Because trying to create the same emotion over and over and over again is not very easy to recreate and do it on the same level constantly.
So let's segue to that. So you've given up football. You're now looking at your options. You're 18 years old. You made a conscious decision. Look, this is what I would love to do. I've been fascinated by the medium all of my life growing up so far. And so you decide to go into an area that, if you thought football was competitive, based on everything I've read and understand about this industry called television and film, I mean, you're jumping from the frying pan straight into the fire.
Yeah, I did tend to pick the 2 most secure careers you could get. But that was a thought that went into my mind. But you know, I loved it, and I would do it for free. So I was like, it doesn't matter.
So was there formal training involved?
There was, yes. So when I first left England, I went to New York and studied at a conservatory for 2 years. And then after that is when I started doing the auditioning process. And and it was a 10-year process, but it happened in the end, you know. And
what were the main challenges for you breaking into, and maybe we ought to tell people that you know, you are an intern, as I understand it, on Grey's Anatomy?
Well,
or you were? Or
we are doctors on the show.
Doctors on the show.
Yeah,
right.
So I started on the show last season, which was season 19. Crazy amount of seasons they've got going for themselves. But
great television show, I have to admit.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing TV show. It's so real life that it's sometimes it's surreal. You can almost be this seems like a real life situation.
It's and to be able to recreate that for so many years and keep it on such a high quality is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. And keep it interesting as well.
Keep it interesting, yeah. And so I started last year. What they did is they brought a whole new class of, they're called interns because they're new doctors and they're learning at the hospital. It's the first time since the beginning that they brought a whole new cast of series regulars on it to start it out. So so I'm one of those doctors, and it's been a whirlwind of a time on it.
So you're in season 19,
Well, so we finished season 19, and now we're filming season 20.
Yeah. Is this your first big break then, or you've done some other stuff?
Yeah, I did one movie for Freeform and Hulu, and then after the pandemic hit, everything shut down for like a few years. So I didn't do anything else, and then this is my next one. So I like to think that I had like 2 breaks. But I've only done 2 projects, Grey's Anatomy and that one movie. So
so you're living your dream now because you're actually following your passion.
It worked out that way somehow.
So tell us a little bit about an average day or an average week filming for Grey's Anatomy.
An average day, I mean, it can vary so drastically. Either you start at 4:30 in the morning and you go till midnight sometimes, or you can come in and do
4:30 a.m. 4:30 and sometimes end up at midnight.
Sometimes it could be a really long, it depends on how many scenes you're shooting that day and how many scenes you're a part of that day. But some days I may not have any work, and some days I may have one scene that's maybe 3 hours takes to film. So we take 2 weeks to film one episode. Of
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not that bad.
Yeah. Do you, a lot of second and third and fourth takes? Is it?
It depends on the director.
Yeah, on the director.
Some are more lenient with the takes than others are.
Yeah. So where's the set for Grey's Anatomy?
It's in LA. So we have our own little studio lot in LA that we work out of. It's us and General Hospital are in it. But we like to joke that they're ghosts because we never see them. They're in one building and we never see them enter or exit. So we're like, I don't know if they're really
So
here.
the set, it's really made to look like a hospital.
Yeah, so we have like a warehouses. We have warehouses, and inside they've recreated the set. Hospitals, hospital wings, lobbies, and all that. And it's really cool what they do. They just take out some of the walls and lift them and move them around for each different room in the hospital. So we have thousands of rooms in the hospital if we need. But yeah.
So it's driven largely by technology. They use a lot of technology to create or recreate the sets.
Yeah.
As the case may be.
Yeah. But they've been doing it for how many years? 20 years now. So it's pretty phenomenal what they do.
What do you think has contributed to the sustained popularity of a show like Grey's Anatomy? 20 years is a very long time in television.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they got a great balance, and there's so many cases in the world and stories from hospitals that they have an abundance of material to choose from, and they struck the right balance between focus on relationships and also real life cases and solving cases, and I don't know. I think it's just.
There've been times when I watch a show like Grey's Anatomy, and I see a similarity to something that I read about in the news at some point in time.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of most of the ones I've heard about and have been told stories about are from actual cases and taking inspiration from actual cases that happened in real life. So yeah, most of it is completely real stuff that went on.
I would have to say that, and I'm sure you wouldn't disagree, that Grey's Anatomy must have some of the best writers in the business. I mean, you couldn't sustain a show like this for 19, 20 seasons and not have really, outside of obviously having great actors and directors and producers and good marketers too as well, you needed to have really good writers.
It's amazing what they can do. I mean, somehow in every episode they make you cry and roll on the floor laughing in the same episode, day in, day out. I don't know how they come up with some of the stuff they come up with, but our writers team is
phenomenal.
Amazing. Yeah, they're like the best in the world, I think.
And a season would take you about how long for that?
Well, it depends how many episodes we're doing that season. A usual season, I think, is around 20 episodes, and that could take 9 months to shoot.
And then you have a break.
Yeah, because we tend to have like a couple. Yeah, and then we have a hiatus break after we're done shooting, which varies. And this time it was a bit longer than expected because of the writers and actors strike. So we finished just before the writers strike, and
so you dodged that bullet in a sense.
In a sense, but it just meant we were off for a long 7 months or whatever, how long it took for them to reach a deal.
So looking forward, Niko, and I don't think there are many people watching outside of obviously your, and I'm sure you have a lot of friends who grew up with you, but you know, the average Barbadian watching this would not necessarily have known that there is a Barbadian who is on Grey's Anatomy. So first of all, we congratulate you on that achievement.
Thank you.
At a very young age too as well. And you know, obviously we will continue to follow your career and hope that you continue to soar.
Thank you so much.
What's on the horizon for you? What do you
I mean, the sky's the limit, I think. I want to do everything and anything. I mean, I would love to get into movies as well, get that going as well, but right now Grey's it takes up a lot of time because there's so many episodes. So right now I'm happy doing this, and if I could get a movie here and there in, and then who knows what the future holds. And I like that. I don't like knowing.
Is there, as an actor in film and television, is there a requirement almost that you make a decision as to which medium, which direction you're going to go in? Am I going to be a television actor? Am I going to be in film? Or do you see, a lot of people have been in one or the other.
Right.
I mean, there are some who have bridged both clearly.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to do both?
I think in the past, maybe you had to make a decision. But nowadays, in the last 10 years, I feel the quality of television has gone up so much that people are going back and forth constantly. Like, people are in Game of Thrones, which is like a movie each week. So yeah. It's like, so there's so much back and forth that you really don't have to make a decision. You can pop over to TV, you can pop over to movies. Sometimes TV quality is better than movie quality, and vice versa. So it really doesn't matter nowadays. Back in the day, I think it was more of a necessity.
But for the moment, you're happy doing your Grey's Anatomy.
Very happy, yeah.
Yeah. And you hope to have some movies, hopefully in the future too, as well.
Yeah, I think the strike impacted that this year, but maybe in the future, yeah. And I don't like to look too far forward because I like to just live in whatever's happening.
Live in the moment.
Live in the
present.
moment. That's what I like to do.
Well, speaking of the moment, you're here in Barbados.
Yes.
And you've been at I suspect enjoying the parties and the events and so on.
Yeah.
So what has that been like for you this season?
It's always great to come home to my friends and family that live here still. I mean, I haven't been back for Christmas in a couple of years, so it's a little bit crazier. I'm usually coming in off season or whenever we're not filming, so it's a lot crazier than I remembered.
Yeah.
But it's really nice, like just seeing all the family, eating all the food, and it's been great, and chilling, finding time to relax, go to the beach. It's a lot more tourists on the beach at this time of year than I'm used to, but it's fine.
Yeah, but we need them to keep the economy rolling over.
We definitely need them.
So we welcome them at all times. Well, listen, we hope that you will stay in touch with Capital Media.
Definitely.
And continue to let us know about your progress. And we wish you great success in your career. Obviously, it goes without saying that we as Barbadians are proud that somebody of a Barbadian lineage is able to make an impact and move into a series that I think almost every household in Barbados must have at least one person, a couple in my household for sure, who watch Grey's Anatomy and now will be perhaps even more riveted to it.
I hope so. That'll be great.
Well, thank you for taking time out from your vacation, your holiday. And
thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah, and we wish you continued success and hope that you'll come back on your next visit too as well and update us.
Will do, for sure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's our Barbadian actor who is currently on Grey's Anatomy. Follow him on Grey's Anatomy. I'm sure you got, how do we follow you? How do they follow you?
Instagram, I guess just search my name, Niko Terho, and you'll find it. I don't even remember what my Instagram handle is. I'm
sure they'll find it, we can certainly share that too as well. Yeah. Follow him, check him out, and see his progress. He's Barbadian-born, went to school here at St. Gabriel's, St. Michael's School, and obviously is proud of his Barbadian lineage, as he is, I'm sure, of his Finnish lineage too as well. So congratulations, and thank you once again for being our guest here on
so much.
The Red Couch.